Hey, I cleared up some space, so I should actually be able to record now. They left the operating room. The hallway took them around several corners and past several doors, but they were all locked. Until, at last, the final door is hidden in a corner of the hall. Junpei grabbed the handle. As he made to push it open, a voice stopped him. The voice came from behind him and belonged to neither Seven nor Clover. Jumpy! He spun around. He saw someone running toward him from the other end of the hallway. There were 3 people coming toward Junpei and his companions. Sana, Lotus, and June. They pulled up short in front of Junpei, breathing hard. Whoa! What the hell is this? What are you doing here? Heroin mostly. What? But we didn't... Before he could finish, Clover spoke. Hey guys, could you come take a look at this? She was standing near the end of the small hallway that branched out to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious as to what she'd found. There was something on the wall at the end of the hallway. What the shit? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my... A map of the ship's interior? Are you kidding me? Why would they have maps anywhere? It said C deck on the upper left corner. It was, they assumed, a map to the floor they were on. Door 7 and Door 8. The map confirmed what they already knew. Both doors eventually led to the hallway where they had found themselves. In fact... Yeah, isn't that what I said? We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find 009. Might as well get separated. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works. Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again. As he looked more closely, his surprise and excitement gave way to wariness. One by one, the others saw what he'd seen. They moved, as one, for the door. He pulled the map of the ship's interior off the wall, put it in his pocket, and followed the others. The 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward. He took hold of the door and spoke, without looking back at the other 5. Ready? I'm going to open it. Slowly, all 5 nodded their silent assent, but Santa wasn't looking back, so he had no idea. He took a deep breath and threw open the door. And it was glorious. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each one of them knew where they were. They were just where the map had said they would be. The same room they'd been in not so very long ago. A tremendous central hospital, with empty beds from wall to wall. I don't know why I sound like Count Dracula. Or the Count. Not Count Dracula. Maybe, I don't know. I believe I understand what you're saying, said Ace. The 6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8. You saw the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory and then met one another in the hallway after opening your respective locked doors. He looked like anyone might after only just waking up, but it seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He had managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report. At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I'm sure you'll be back for me. I did hope you would come back, but I confess I didn't think you'd be back so soon. Ace shook his head with a rueful smile. Well, we saw each other again, and we ain't dead, so I say that's good enough. Seven smiled. Anyway, I say we get out of this creepy old place. We found the key we need. Key? Ain't that what I just said? Talking about the Jupiter key. You found it in the operating room. Right, Junpei? Junpei nodded. Ah, the solar system keys. Actually, found one in the laboratory, too. Here, the Earth key. Lotus dug out a still warm key with an Earth symbol on it. I might lose it. It's probably better if you just hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost. With that, she pressed into Junpei's hand. He felt slightly less than honored. As a group, they now had 3 keys that had not been used. The butt key, which had been found in the operating room. The Saturn key card, which had been slid down my ass crack. And the Earth key, which Lotus had just handed to Junpei. Junpei took the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up. The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right? Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then next to the stairs. Wait! They were the first words anyone had heard out of Clover in quite some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy words. What about door 3? Look, you saw the map, right? It's the same as 7 and 8. It just leads us back to the big hospital room. There's no point in seeing what's on the other side of that door. There is a point. At least there is for me. There were tears in her eyes, but she glared at 7 as hard as she could, just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. There wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. 7 looked at everyone in the room, except at Clover, and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath. Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Snake might be on the other side of door 3. Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace. Very well, I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again. So, 7, you'll help me, won't you? Huh? Me? Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. Yep. Damn, well I guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh? Yes, you are. Alright, let's get moving. And so it was decided that Clover, Ace, and 7 would discover what lay beyond door 3. Okay, we're heading out. Be careful. Whoa, didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus. Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it. The rest of us can't open door 9. Ah, the truth comes out. 7 nodded, as if this answer made much more sense, and pulled a lever on the red. Okay, let's go. The door opened and Ace, Clover, and 7 jumped through it. 6, 7, 8. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisily. Alright, we should get moving too. Huh? Get moving? Where are we going? Oh, everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused. Well, it'd be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain. Does she really have to? I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key. Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake. They're at the end of the hallway, lined by individual hospital rooms. The Jupiter symbol was engraved on the keyhole. Alright, Junpei, open it, if you please. Yeah, on it. Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket and slid it into the keyhole. He twisted. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Alright, ready guys? Junpei's companions nodded. He nodded back, then slowly and quietly opened the door. Inside was exactly what he expected to see, from the map of the ship's interior. They were in a tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with a massive central staircase. Great, back to the beginning. Sure this is a good idea? What do you mean? Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we? I'm asking you if there's any reason we came back here. Of course there's a reason. I just don't know what it is. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky. Huh? This. Junpei pulled 2 things out of his pockets. The Saturn keycard and the Earth key. Santa cocked his head to one side, like an inquisitive bird, and looked at them. After several long moments, during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the cards meant, Santa took... what? A pity on him. Do you remember, Santa? On C-Deck, where we are now, there's a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A-Deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it, I think. So the 2 keys that Jumpy has should let us use the elevator and the door on A-Deck. Huh. Yes, that's right. June smiled, pleased with herself. So did Santa. Alright, I got it. let's get started then. What do you say we split into 2 teams? Notice I'll search the Earth one, so you two can search the Saturn, alright? Sounds good. Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa. They decided that their initial search should be brief, only 10 minutes. They'd meet back near the staircase once they were done. Junpei and June headed for the elevators. Sure enough, there was a card reader bolted to the wall next to the left elevator. He lined up the Saturn key card and swiped it through the reader. A light on the upper left corner blinked to life. Great. Looks like it's working now. Alright, now how do I call the elevator? There was a single button to the right of the elevator door. I presume that was it. The button was upside down. Triangle. Universal symbol for down. It didn't appear to be an up button. Junpei pushed it. Didn't have much of a choice. It opened. Look, Jumpy. June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tinge of anxiety. Sweet, it opened. Let's get going. He grinned at June and stepped toward the open door. As he was about to set foot in it, he felt a hand on his arm. Wait. What? I'm not really oh gosh. Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? Yeah. June was probably afraid if they could only go down. She was afraid because the only elevator button pointed down. That meant, of course, that the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen elevators on the A or B decks near the central staircase. All of which meant that the elevator could only convey them to the lower decks. And the floor below the one they were on, D deck, should be completely submerged. That meant... Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right? Well, yes, I guess it did. It didn't open right away after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise like it was moving, and then it opened. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, take a look inside. Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator. It's not wet at all, is it? The walls, even the floor, are totally dry. Oh, you're right, they are. She looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed. Well, let's test it. Test it? Yeah, watch this. Junpei put one foot in the elevator and bent around the corner door until he could see the floor buttons. There were only 2, E and C. He pushed the E button and jumped out of the elevator. The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down. A few moments later, they heard the sound of the elevator door grinding open several floors below. Junpei nodded to June and pressed the elevator button again. A few moments later, the elevator returned. What about the other elevator? The door slid open, and just as Junpei had expected, there's no water to be found. See? Junpei couldn't resist puffing out his chest, just a little bit. June, however, still looked confused. What does that mean? How can the E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water? Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you. He pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration. I see. So that is why the ship hasn't sunk. The shape of the inside keeps it from all filling with water. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket. So I'm going to go down and check it out. You stay here, alright? But, come on, just do it, alright? He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze, then hopped onto the elevator. He pushed the E button, and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she were trying to make a decision, when suddenly... I'm coming with you. Huh? At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors. Junpei jammed his finger against the open button, but it was too late. The door had shut, and he and June were in the elevator, and it was headed down to E deck. Wow. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on E deck. The elevator stopped, and the door slid open. It's beautiful. They stepped off onto the floor outside the elevator. Nothing seemed especially unusual. No fish going about their fishy business, or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish, or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out, and in her mouth a tiny, intense frown. Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't been flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here. June looked around nervously. Then, exhaled. You're right. It's not flooded at all. See? But there's a whole lot of water. Yeah, right on top of us. What's going to happen if the ceiling breaks? Junpei thought about that for a moment. We'd probably die. Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that. At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back. Okay, good idea. Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one. Well, can't go over there. Right. Then, perhaps, in the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening. He walked up to it and stuck his head around the corner. A long, straight hallway stretched out in front of him. That door at the end of the hallway, there's something written on it. Yeah, let's go have a look. It says 6 assholes. Junpei and June set out down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6. I knew it. This is a number door. And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door. Of course, with only 2 people, there wasn't much they could do with it. Alright, let's head back. Yes. Junpei and June turned and headed back to C deck. On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall. As it turned out, it was a burnt map of the ship's interior for E deck. Why was it burnt? Huh? So you guys found door 1? They'd met back up with Santa and Lotus, who explained what they'd found. Apparently there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that the Earth Key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door. All told, they had discovered 2 new doors. This 6th door and the 1 door. It is interesting that E deck wasn't flooded. Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought. Well, we don't really know if all of E deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator. Even so, it's still very interesting. You said the 6th door was there, right? Yes. Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost. Would have been in time, that's for sure. Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash. Yeah, does make sense. The thought that made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked his stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing. I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here. June looked up at Junpei with large pleading eyes. Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already. Well, Junpei, I should be able to open door 1. Wait. Should they? Yes. Huh? You guys leaving me behind? Just kidding. Alright, let's go. Lotus' words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went.